Hi guys, again, so today welcome back to my channel. We're back with another Sims 4 speed build, and today we're over in SimsByShadow and we are going to be renovating this apartment here. So to start off with, I came in and I like to change the floor plan just slightly. Even if it's just like making a room like slightly smaller or slightly bigger, I just like to come in and tweak it just a little bit to make it kind of fit what I need, and then I feel like I'm giving it a proper renovation. This isn't really like a renovation, so I had a theme in mind that I wanted to do for an apartment and I chose this one, so I just kind of jiggled things around to fit my needs. So today we are going to be designing this apartment in a mid-century 70s retro style, I guess. It's kind of like a mishmash of all of them. I think they overlap slightly, so it's kind of like in there somewhere, and I really love this. I really love the mid-century modern aesthetic and like the retro decoration style, so I was really excited to come in and see if I could do it in The Sims. I had up a lot of inspiration pictures for this that were kind of guiding me as I did it, and I noticed like three things I would say. They used a lot of bold colours, they weren't afraid of a bold print, and they did enjoy a coloured carpet. I feel like orange and blues were a lot, like orange and green, sorry, were very common, and they came up a lot in the pictures I saw. So I wanted to try and bring that into the living room to start off with, and I found this lovely green carpet and I was trying to make it work, but unfortunately I don't think it's the right shade of green. I think it was like looking weird and throwing the room off because it's too dark. I think it needed to just be a different shade. I then found this wallpaper and thought it was perfect because all my reference pictures, they love like this bold print. Circles were a theme, like big different coloured circles. And they also love wood. It was kind of like that was basically the style of every house. It either had wood on the floor or coloured carpet, and then the walls were either some very bright colour, maybe wood panelling, or like a geometric print like the one I've used here. I do think I ended up going with this green one, and I do really like it. I do think I changed the walls though. I went with this like plainer colour just because I felt like it looked too much otherwise. But I think, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure I come back in and change those to something a little bit more of the decade. So this living room is quite big. It's like the main space of the house, so it kind of has a dual purpose. It's kind of like our living room, our entryway, and then we make it into like a little bit of an office. We put a computer in it, which I don't think is crazy because like I grew up in the 90s, showing my age, and pretty much you either had your computer in your spare room or it was just in the living room. Like we didn't really have, well, I mean, where I grew up and the houses me and my friends and my family had, nobody really had dedicated offices. I don't think at that time the computer was really a focal point of the house. Not everybody really had them, and it was kind of just, if you had one, it didn't really get its own room. It just kind of was in the living room, whereas now I think pretty much everyone has some sort of computer, whether it's a computer or a laptop, and it's very often that people have a room dedicated for the office because people like work from home and do all of this. It's just kind of more a part of life, I guess, than it was back in the day. So now I'm coming in and changing in our sofa. I pulled out the original ones just because I liked them. They were orange and green, but again, the colours weren't right. The colours like that of the decade or of the time were very much bold and bright, and I think the ones I pulled out originally were a little bit more muted. So I come in with this sofa, I think it's from the high school pack, and then the armchairs are from Get Famous, I believe, and they are definitely like that mid-century modern vibe. The legs on the chairs, as well as like the coffee table and TV unit, are very much like mid-century modern. They all have those tapered legs, so I tried to find furniture that had that, and I'm not gonna lie, the Get Famous pack does have quite a lot. There's a few units and some furniture that has those tapered legs. I think also the bowling pack has some like mid-century modern furniture. I unfortunately do not have that, but if you have that, I think there are a few pieces you could use. But yeah, I love mid-century modern. When I moved into my house and I was like figuring out what like aesthetic I wanted to go for, I did look into doing my house mid-century like modern, but it's so expensive, the furniture. It's all like recreational, like it's not like antique furniture. It's like modern furniture that's made to look old, and it's so expensive. Like you're talking £1,000 just for one unit, and I was like, yeah, that ain't in my budget. So in the end I went with my house is, side note, my house is like, it's like maybe like dark academia, I guess. I use a lot of old furniture, and I utilize charity shops a lot because you can get such nice old furniture that's like hand carved and stuff for like pennies, and it's amazing. Anyway, let's get back to the build. I'm now coming in and trying to filter it by packs I think have this kind of aesthetic. So the Tiny Living does, Get Famous does, and then I think that is the two that I mainly used. I'm not going to lie though, I wish when you filtered items you could search for a pack, not just like you could like type in blue chair, but I could also type in get famous, and I could just filter like on that like drop down for a specific pack, because I feel like we have so many packs now that sometimes scrolling through them is so hard to find the one you want, and my eyes just glaze over them sometimes, so I'm spend like ages trying to find the specific one. And I think that would very much come in handy for people who use mods and custom content, because if you are a custom content person, you get so much, and like having to be able to even just filter by custom content would be so good. I think someone needs to introduce that. If somebody has already made a mod for that, please comment it below, because I will definitely get it. So I'm just jiggling the furniture around in the living room a little bit. I felt like having the sofa on the other side, so like the back was to you as you walked in the door. It kind of cut off the living room, and there wasn't much room to like be able to access the space, and I thought the Sims might get stuck like on the furniture. So I swapped over the sofa, put it on the opposite wall, and then moved the armchairs over slightly to like open up that space. So there's definitely more room now for your Sims to get in. Also, while I was going off on that tangent, we added in a little unit into the entryway, just like a little bookcase with some decor on it. I gave them a burglar alarm and then also the temperature control, because I do always forget to put those in. Those in bins, like I'm like, you're lucky if you get them in my builds because I forget them all the time. And then I also switched out the TV unit for one from Get Famous, which is more of the mid-century vibe. And then all that furniture kind of matches. So the bookshelf, the console for the TV, and then also I think the coffee table are kind of matching, which I do enjoy. And then on the walls, I wanted some really bold prints, like abstract. We don't have that. I feel like all of our artwork in The Sims is either environments, so like mountains, like hills, like just like nature stuff, or it's like random people. Like there's only a few random people that I wish we did have more, but I wish we had more like just art, like just random prints, like just geometric shapes, or just something like that are for certain aesthetics. So maybe if you wanted like something super modern, you could find it, or something like super girly that was like print. I feel like a lot of the artwork kind of mashes between different aesthetics, and it doesn't really land on one. It's kind of just there, if that makes sense. So I did find it hard to find some artwork that I thought would kind of fit into this house. We do find a few prints that work, but there's not a lot, I won't lie. And then in the corner here, I add in our little no, it's not a TV, it's a computer desk, and then I give them like a little corkboard above it, because I think it's super cute, where they could pin like all their different activities and stuff, and like just little different notices above their desks. I do enjoy that. And then I'm coming in now and trying to find a plant pot. I wanted one that had like a bit of a different like planter. I didn't want it to, like, I know the one on the right is kind of just plain, so I wanted something that had like a little bit more of a unique touch to it, and we don't have a lot. This one is from Eco Living, I believe, and it's just a bit different. And then for the lamp on the desk, I did have to come in with this Tiffany inspired one, because those are very much of the decade. I love a Tiffany lamp. Again, they are very expensive. Well, I say very expensive. They're about £70, I think, if you wanted to buy one. If you want to buy one, that's second hand. If you want to buy one new, you're pushing 100, which in my opinion is quite expensive for a lamp. So they are on my list. They also have like different colours and stuff, so it's more about finding the colours and the pattern you like, because there are a lot of different styles. So yeah, but I think a Tiffany lamp is on top tier of my charity shop list wish goal. I think it's fun. Like, I know I could buy one probably second hand, but I think it's fun having like a list of things you want to get and then going to a charity shop and trying to hunt them down, because then when you find it, it feels so good, because you're like, oh my god, it's here, it's actually here. It's just very satisfying in my opinion. I'm just kind of coming in now and shuffling stuff around, because I realised I forgot to add in a door to the bedroom and also the bathroom, and this is kind of why I try and put my doors down first, because otherwise I do forget, and then I put all my furniture in and have to come back and shuffle everything around. So next we are moving on into the bathroom, and when I looked at my inspiration pictures for this, I noticed that they were very much colour drenched. They very much had one colour and they stuck to it, which I think is fine. So for this case, we go for like this blue teal colour, and we use it everywhere. So the floor, the walls, and also the bathroom suite ends up coming in this colour, because that is what they did. They also, very questionable if you ask me, were fond of a carpeted bathroom. I couldn't bring myself to do that, because the thought of it literally makes me want to vomit. I don't know why anybody decided to put carpet in a bathroom in the first place. I think it's so unhygienic. And I could think of nothing worse than getting out of the shower or the bath, standing on carpet and getting it wet, and then later on in the day coming back and walking into your bathroom and the carpet's still being wet because it's not dried. Like, it sends shivers down my spine just even thinking about it. So I'm glad we got rid of that trend. But yeah, I come in and add in these base game counters because the counters in the pictures I looked at were very blocky. They were very basic, kind of like there wasn't really much to them. They kind of looked pretty much like these base game ones. There were a couple that were a little bit more ornate, but we didn't really have any swatches that matches them, so I went with these base game ones. I then add in the toilet from, I think that is from Snowy Escape. It's the one that like talks to you and stuff, but it just came in the perfect shade of blue. And then we add in some basic clutter, like a mirror, a medicine cabinet. They were very fond of a medicine cabinet back in the day. And then also we give them like a bath and a shower and that kind of stuff. They did love a little bit of clutter in their bathrooms, I'm not going to lie. Like, they either had the medicine cabinet on the wall or they had like a unit, were very common. I mean, I know people have them nowadays, but in the reference pictures I had, they often had a unit that just like had towels and stuff on it. So they had like, they did enjoy some furniture in the bathroom. They weren't, I'd say they were more on the maximalist side in the reference pictures I looked at, and I do appreciate that, being a maximalist myself. I came in and just added in a couple of the dressing gowns on the side there because I love doing that. I think all my bathrooms pretty much get a robe. And then we come in and I do the nod to the carpet by adding in a fluffy rug, which I delete. I thought I kept that, obviously not. I didn't think it went with the one around the toilet, obviously. But again, rugs around toilets were very common in the day. I know when I was growing up and went to my nan's house, my nan and granddad's, they also had a rug around their toilet. I don't know if my mum ever bought into it, I cannot remember, but I know my grandparents did, and honestly they rocked a rug around the toilet for quite some time. I do believe they have gotten rid of that, but I might be mistaken. It might just be so normal to me now that when I go to their house they have like a little mat around the bathroom, like their toilet, that I have zoned it out. And I will confirm, I will go back next time I go back there, I will look and I'll let you all know if they do still have it. So now coming on into the kitchen, and again my reference pictures, a lot of them were green and yellow, green and orange, but I wanted to come in and do something a bit different because we have just done green and orange in the living room, so I wanted to mix it up a bit. Again, the tiles were very bold and they were very bright, so I was going to use these red ones, and the style of them doesn't really match. I think with the top paneling, it doesn't match. These are from high school years and the style doesn't match of the decades, but the below tiles do. So I kind of thought maybe we could go with them. I feel like sometimes with these tiles for the kitchen, once you put in the counters, you can't really see the tiles anymore. I feel like they need to go a little bit higher. And my other issue with tiles in The Sims 4 is a lot of them just give bathroom, and I don't know what it is about them, but no matter what room you put them in, they just scream bathroom tiles. I don't know if it's the shininess of them or the size, but a lot of them I feel like you just can't even use in the kitchen because they just look like bathroom tiles. So yeah, I do faff around with the wallpaper for a minute before I find something that I actually think will match. I also feel like I test out a lot of colours because I was trying to avoid doing, again, the orange and the green, even though that was very popular colours. I was trying to make it work with like reds and yellows. I tried to use these red counters, but they were just far too red, that it just wasn't, something was just off and I couldn't figure it out, if I'm completely honest. Like, the tones were either too bright or they were too dark. I was just having a minute trying to figure it out, but don't worry, we do get there in the end. And honestly, it's been a couple of days since I've recorded this, so I can't fully remember what we go with, so it's going to be a surprise for you and for me. I think though I do come in and, I remembered, I filtered, with this filter I remember what I do. I was going to say I do think I come in and change the counters to have a colour, because that was also very much a thing back in the day. They used coloured counters and I really enjoy it. I really like that they did coloured counters in the kitchen and in the bathroom. I think we've lost that somehow and I really wish we had it back. I've said it before, but like, why is white a white bathroom suite the thing? I would really like a coloured bathroom suite, like maybe a green or a black or something, but they're so expensive. And back in the day, they just used to be the norm. I feel like if you had a white bathroom suite, you'd probably get a little bit looked at funny, but if you had a bright red one, your neighbours would love it. So I do settle with the green, and then we add the wood panelling to the walls to kind of have a nod to that, because that was very much a chosen aesthetic back in the day. And then I come in and I fit in a little table and chairs in the corner, just a little dining area, so if they want to come and have a sit down and eat, they can. I played around with the orientation a little bit just because it is an awkward space with the archway there. I wanted to make sure the Sims could access all of the chairs, but it wasn't like encroaching on the room too much, and still like made sense for the space. So I came out and add in just like a little bit of clutter to everything. We add in a little fruit stand onto the table, and then some of this like older decor, I guess it's from cottage living, most of it. It just kind of gives a little bit of a dated look. So I add a little bit of clutter to that. You guys are going to have to let me know if you want me to do any other decades. I really would love to do like a 90s one, because that is like where I grew up. So I feel like it'd be so good to like go back in time and create like a house from when I grew up. But I do think I'd have to use some CC. We don't have that many like older item furniture. Basically the only thing we have is those bubble chairs that we got in the one of the in-game events. But I think I could really do something if I add some CC. So you guys will have to let me know. Maybe we could start like a decades series where we do like a little house from each decade. And you'll have to let me know how well I do, because obviously I only know the decades I grew up in, which is like the 90s and 2000s. So you'll have to, if anybody is watching and you grew up in like maybe like the 70s, you'll have to let me know if this was a house that was like around then, or if I really missed the mark. Maybe I've gone like a little bit modern with hints of the 70s. I don't know, you'll have to let me know. But I really enjoy how it came out. I feel like if I moved into a house and it was decorated like this, I would 100% keep it and just rock with it. I do really like it. And this is me now trying to come in and find some artwork for the walls. Again, that was going to match. I do think I settled on that red one, just because I feel like it's one of the only abstract pieces. We are very limited with them, so we kind of just have to use what we can get. It does bring some red into the room, which doesn't 100% match, but it's art, and I feel like you can do that. And then in the corner here, I just add in a bin and some of the aprons, and then another plant, which I really like that room. I think it's the mixture of the wooden floor and the paneling on the walls that I just think it turned out really cool. I'm obsessed with it. And then I do the job of coming back in and adding some curtains into the living room, because I did forget to do that. If you're wondering why the wall, well, you may or may not be wondering, but I just think I'll just point out the wall behind the TV is plain. I've not added anything to it, and I basically do that just because I think the wallpaper is so bold that if I added like a artwork to it or something, I think it'd look weird. So I left it plain on purpose. I did not forget to put anything there. I wanted the wallpaper to be the statement piece, I guess, rather than any artwork or anything I might add to it. I also switched out the wallpaper in the living room to more of this wood paneling, and I think it goes so well. I love the print on the wood paneling. It's kind of like the rectangles. I do appreciate it. And now we are going into the bedroom, and I'm not gonna lie, I did struggle with the bedroom slightly. I feel like we didn't have that much furniture that I thought would match. We do have the stuff from Get Famous, but that is a little bit more on the modern side, rather than like the retro side. So I did struggle. I do think it comes together in the end, though. I do kind of like how it comes out. Again, we use some wood paneling as our feature wall, and then for the wallpaper we come in with an orange colour. And in my reference pictures they had a lot of wicker furniture, like wicker beds and stuff, so I used this one from high school years, I think it is, and then it had this really pretty like orange, like yellow flowery like floral pattern on it, which I do really like, and I use that kind of as a basis to style the rest of the room. We pull out some oranges and some reds, and it kind of gets a bit mishmashed in here. I don't know if we kind of lose the decade. I don't know if we lose that like mid-century modern like 70s aesthetic. You'll have to let me know and go down a different route here, but I do really like how it turns out. We use this wardrobe. I'm not sure where this wardrobe is from, but it has like a painted look. Some of them are a little bit more distressed than the others, and I just really love it. I use it a lot if like my sim is like an artist, because I imagine they've like hand painted it all themselves, and I just think it's really cool. And we don't really have that many pieces like that, so I do like to use it. We also just add in like a drawer unit with like a little bit of decor on the top, and then a mirror in the corner. And then again, I'm trying to find an art piece. I use this one. I'm not sure if I already did use that, but I did use it in a different swatch, so it's slightly different. And then I use these high school years curtains, like the net ones, which I really like. And then, of course, we have to add in some string lights. I've been using these a lot lately. Maybe I need to diverge and use something different. But I just think it looks really cool adding them like as a focal point to that back wood paneling, just to break it up a little bit. Again, I think art would have looked weird on it, so I think just adding these string lights just kind of adds a little bit of difference. And then we add in a couple of potted plants, and then a bench over by the mirror here, just so they've got somewhere to sit down and put, I don't know, put their socks on or something. The rug is one I pulled out earlier as I was like looking around that I want to use, so I just kind of tucked that under the bed. Again, it's got these geometric shapes which are very common in like this era or this decade, so I did want to use that. And then again, I wanted to bring in a little bit more wicker, so we use one of these wicker chairs. I'm just looking through now at the swatches to see which one I think would suit the house better. And this one literally had a swatch that pretty much matched the bedding, so of course that was one we choose. And then in this space here, I wasn't sure what to put. I didn't know if I wanted to add a little bit more furniture, but in the end I added in one of these like hamster cages. I'm not sure which one this is. There's different ones. It's like a hamster, a mouse, a rat, I believe, I think there's a hedgehog, and then there's a genetically engineered one, and I'm not sure which one I ended up putting down. All the cages look the same, it's just like the animals inside that are different. But yeah, I have been adding these in my builds a little bit recently, and I do enjoy them. I then come in and just add in some activity stuff and skills objects around, so we get the art easel, the guitar. I add in a couple of cameras because I think maybe they're into like going to antique fairs and stuff, and they take pictures of what they find. I do come in and like reshade some or reswatch some of these items just to kind of get them to match a little bit more. And I think we are now coming to the end of the build. I might just add in like a little bit more artwork, but yeah, you'll have to let me know. You'll have to let me know if I like hit the era or the decade, or what you think of it. If there's another decade or era you want me to do, or any other builds, feel free to comment them and I will definitely do that. I do have an idea for a series coming up. I'm going to trial it with a friend first. It's not like a collab, but it's kind of a collab, but I kind of want you guys to get involved in it. So we'll see how it goes, and then there might be a chance for you guys to send in some ideas for me, but I'm really excited about it, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. And yeah, that is the end, guys. We will go on to the tour now, but thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.